start clapping with our 4 fingers. On this side, let's go. 1 finger, just 1. Can you hear the sound? No, you can't hear the sound. Over here, 2 fingers. Just here, 2 fingers. It's not even loud. Louder, the future is here. Over here, let's go with 3 fingers. Continue. I can't hear you guys. And then on the last row, let's go with 4 fingers. 4. And then everybody, let's go with our 5 fingers. Let's make it really loud. Louder. Even louder.
Okay, I think we're ready.
I think we're ready.
I think we're ready.
Okay, we're moving swiftly along, but just before we introduce the next session, let's not forget the evaluation forms in your brochures. It's important that you please fill the forms to give us feedback so we know how to, improve on certain things, and your feedback really matters to us. Don't forget the hashtag is WIMBIZ Annual Conference, and the future is here. Please post, tweet, take pictures, and we will see everything online. We've had an amazing morning. Who had a great time this morning? Did you have a great time this morning? Did you have a great time this morning? The conversation, the male panel, the speeches from the conference chairperson, the keynotes, amazing, amazing. And I'm even excited about this session.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the next session that we have for you is technology, the silver lining in disruptions. And I think when we're thinking about this topic, what came to mind is the largest provider of accommodation, short-term accommodation, owns no real estate, which is, do you guys know that? What's the company called? Thank you. The largest taxi company owns no taxis, right? Do you know what that company is? Perfect. And then the largest retailer virtually owns no inventory itself. Do we know who that is? So you guys are clued on.
Yeah.
So as we did with the last session, we'll take a few questions afterwards. We'll take the first 3 questions. So whoever comes to the mic first, there's 3 mics. And then we'll leave it to the moderator to decide how to move on from there. Today's moderator for this session is a gentleman who's been a true WIMBIZ supporter. He has given us financial assistance that we're very grateful for. He's been a source of support, a backbone for us. He's a banker, an economist. He's well known to everyone. He's currently the MD, CEO of Diamond Bank PLC. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Uzoma Dozie.
Good evening, or good afternoon. I am very excited and glad to be here, and I am truly overwhelmed as well. Like when I just looked, I think this is the biggest hall I've actually spoken to in my entire life. Most times I actually use technology, so I'm in front of a video and then it's to everyone else. So our topic that we're going to discuss today with my panel, who I shall invite onto the stage now, is on technology, the silver lining to disruption. And I will call them, since there's no protocol here, Jason Njoku of Iroko TV, please come on stage. Gossi of Benny University. Yeah, anyway. Dr. Joe of BioCross. and of course, Temi, our lifesaver of lifeblood. So, it was in the news lately that Nigeria has gone up in the ease of doing business. I think we moved from about 194 to about 24 or 25 places. And that has been achieved through a lot of changes in regulation and legislation. But I think that technology has certainly played a very large role in that. And I think what I want to do is just give an example for ease of business to start. First of all, I think if you wanted to start a business, and in Nigeria, we have about 18 or 19 small businesses in Nigeria, and most of them are not incorporated or registered, because the actual fact is the customer journey of there's some music playing here, competing. The customer journey of opening, registering a business is actually very daunting. Who do you talk to? How much does it cost? When will it be done? What do I get for doing it? And what are the benefits and what are the disadvantages? Not many people know that. And most people do not venture into what they do not know. So there's a company I had the privilege of speaking to earlier this year, and they're called DIY Law. So a couple of ladies who started a business, and the idea was, how do we change the way people register their businesses to make it easier, cost-effective, and very, very transparent? And that was the key. And so they set up, a platform which enabled customers, people who wanted to incorporate their business, go online, go through the process online, get engaged, and know exactly how much it was going to cost them, how long it would take, and also other advisory services, just like how to get their TIN numbers and a few other complex things that are actually required to do the business. So they're transforming the customer experience from doing it yourself manually to doing it any way that you can. Now, what that means is that they've built it's not just about the technology, but it's about the platform that, first of all, enables people to access a service anywhere they are. It also provides opportunities for people who are lawyers, who are looking for business. So on the other side of the platform is job creation. On the customer-facing side is people who, before they would have wanted to do that, but they're faced with a lot of uncertainty and decide to use their individual account instead of setting up their business properly. Now, if your business is not set up, I'm a banker, it's very difficult for me to even start establishing whether to give you credit or what type of business you are doing, or even how do you get people to buy into your business if you're not properly set up. So those are the things that are enabling people to change the way customers are consuming goods, services, entertainment, and it cuts across different aspects of life. And that's why today, on our panelists, we have people who cut across different aspects of society. We have agriculture, entertainment, health, and education. And these are actually, coincidentally, these are real essential segments for economies to thrive, where we can see great improvements in GDP growth and also improvement of life. But finally, the enablement and use of technology is an imperative for us in Nigeria, because we have, according to the last guesstimate, over 190 million people in Nigeria. So it is impossible to do things the old way. And so for me, one of the questions that I keep asking myself is, I have about 10 million customers that we're financially included. And I know that it is impossible for me to provide them with 10 million cards or provide 10 million point of sale terminals for them to access services. So there must be another way they can do that. And it has to be mobile. And we'll find that most of the disruptions and the innovations that are coming are based on mobile telephony. And that is where the disruption and innovation is going to come. So I'm going to leave it there and ask my friends in the panel to talk about how they have disrupted and how they are changing the way customers access services and products in the different segments that they are. Thank you very much. So, thank you. And Jason, I might as well start with you on the left. So tell me, how have people changed? You're in Iroko TV. So how have your platform changed the way people consume, and what has it done for that industry in particular?
Testing. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. Just quick show of hands. Who watches Nollywood? Quick show of hands. Just that. No. I know you guys have had a great lunch. So, like, who watches Nollywood? Please help me put your hands up. Great. Okay. Actually, who's heard of Iroko TV? Who's heard of Rock TV? Okay. More people have heard of Rock than Iroko TV. Okay. So, in 2010, when I started on my journey with Nollywood content, the first 100 producers who I acquired content from were men. They were marketers out in Alaba. They had their shops. And essentially, it was 100% Nollywood was driven and controlled by men. If I look at 2017 and look at all of the producing partners who have provided content both to Iroko TV and Rock, I'm pretty confident about 80% of them are now women. So what changed? And I think technology has changed that. If you look back 2010, when the form of distribution was purely about your shop in Alaba, your distribution outlets in Onitsha, in Aba, it was primarily driven by traders who could have equally been selling Nollywood content as they were selling electronic parts or spare parts for their car. So it was primarily driven and controlled by men. As it became only about the content and not about the distribution, it became increasingly important that Nollywood, which is primarily driven in terms of consumption by women, started to actually have a much more prominent say in that. And I think if you look at 2013-14, there was a big shift in the cinema culture. There was a big shift in what the fans demanded in terms of like stories coming out of Nollywood. And I think as it became less about the form of distribution and it became more about the content, I think women, young women, anyone with an idea, passion, a script, were then able to really shine. And I think what the biggest thing which has happened to us is actually sitting from the outside and then looking at that shift and looking at how, if you look at cinema, it's dominated by female producers. If you look at sort of day-to-day Nollywood, it's dominated by female producers. If you look at who the stars are, one of the biggest challenges that we have, or my wife has at Rock, essentially, is finding good lead male actors. You don't really find them anymore. It's now primarily driven by women. So I think if you look at the entire sort of framework of Nollywood, over the last 7 years, it's been completely inverted, where it's now 100% dominated by females. And there was a really well-known producer, I'm not going to say his name, but he was lamenting to my wife a few weeks ago out in Uyo. And he was basically saying that all of these female empowerment things, like who's going to empower the men? Me who's... I'm literally going from pillar to post looking for a job, and it feels like it's only the women who are really producing again. And I think, you know, only technology would have been able to wrestle that away from the incumbents. You know, the fact that even Iwoku exists today is purely for the fact that in the absence of technology, as one sort of VCD, DVD kind of went away, as TV channels came up, and as other sort of online platforms came up, it became all about who could create the best content. And to be frank, you know, women in Nollywood create better content than men for the most part. And I think that has definitely proven itself over and over.
So thanks. I'll come back to you on that, on the why women do it better than men. Gussie, so you provide online courses for full online courses for universities, so to enable people to educate themselves wherever they are. How did that come about? And secondly, from a institutional perspective, how do people see that accreditation? So if I told someone that, you know, I did my course online, how does that sell? Oh, sorry. So I was asking Gussie just now that he provides online service, online courses for university. The question is, if I was going to, if I wanted to be employed somewhere and I went with my accreditation from an online course and said I did it online, how is that received today? You know, because there's the technological disruption, but there's also that cultural and mental disruption that we need to overcome in the Nigerian society as well.
Yeah. I think a bit of a background. So in 2012, we did a research and found out that about 1.8 million students took JAM, and all the institutions of higher learning, so that's the universities, polytechnics, monotechnics, colleges of education, could only admit about 580,000. So that meant, even though the pass rate was about 51% at the time, more than half of them were not going to be admitted locally. And that's the reason why Nigeria is the highest exporter of students out of Africa. And in the world, we're number 3, so behind China and India. So if you go everywhere in the world, you see Nigerian students trying to learn. If you go to Ghana, if you go to Benin Republic, same thing. So the big question was, was why? And we just realized that there was simply no spaces for students to learn. We don't have the physical infrastructure growing as fast as we had students trying to go to university. So the thought for us was, let's start an online university that can get in as many students as possible and give them the education that they need. Well, that's a long story, which is a different story. We are now a physical university with an online operation because of policy. But I think, interestingly, what happened for us last year is we had a company called EduTech. So EduTech focuses on helping existing universities take their own programs online as well. So we have 2 universities, Ahmadu Bello University and Obafemi Awolowo University, and we're helping them take their programs online. At OAU, we have a bachelor in nursing, a bachelor in economics, and a bachelor in accounting. And at ABU, we have the online MBA. My best program is the nursing program at OAU for a very specific reason. So in the nursing council, in nursing and midwifery council, if you don't have a bachelor degree, you can't go past level 8. So you can become a midwife, so opportunities are capped. And we have nurses who go to the nursing schools and they work as nurses, but they can't leave their jobs and go work and go get a degree. So with the program we have online now, we have the nurses work, keep their jobs, and they learn from anywhere they are. And they go to the teaching hospital in Ife for their practicals. So they learn at the same time, they work at the same time, and they keep their jobs, they can still provide for their families. So that's what has changed. I think the world is changing from the certificates you have to what you can do. So the question of where you studied is beginning to gradually go away, because with all the certificates you have and you can still compose a message on, in an email, it doesn't make any sense. So that's sort of what we're trying to preach. Let's just see that the students can learn and we can prove they can learn. And the good thing is these programs are accredited. So I'm sure if they didn't meet the quality requirements, they won't be accredited. So these are all accredited programs by the NUC, and students can learn online, get their degrees. Online is not written on it, e-learning is not written on it. Same degree as students in the campus, and they can work.
So, so what are the numbers, and how do you scale this? Because we have a lot of, first of all, universities. We have a lot of, there's a big gap, especially at universities, and can it actually be taken down to the primary and its secondary level as well?
It's very tricky. At that level, I don't think they have the discipline to learn online. Because learning online is not as easy as learning in campus. Because you have to wake up and go to class. But to learn online, you have to tell yourself that you have to log on, do your assignments. You tell yourself, oh, deadline is on Friday, I'll do it on Thursday night. So at that level, no. But what we've also seen, interestingly, is that our students from OAU, their parents are willing to pay for them to go to the campus, but let them learn online. They just don't want them to be at home. That's still something we're trying to figure out how to overcome, because the concept is, oh, my child has gone to school, and they can't really say that if they are at home every day on a tablet or on a computer learning. So, yeah.
So, we've heard from entertainment, education, and so now health, lifeblood. How did it start, and what was the motivation to do it, and what's it about?
So the largest cause of death for women in Nigeria and in the developing world is something called postpartum hemorrhage. It's basically a mom gives birth and then she starts bleeding. It's the largest killer of Nigerian women. It's the largest killer of African women and women in the developing world as a whole. So, and the best way to solve that is to ensure that the hospital has the blood they need if and when they start bleeding after birth. And that's what drives me, and that's why we started LifeBank. It's basically to use technology to aggregate supply information around blood, around a particular community, and then logistics to get that blood to the hospital in the right condition and on time to save a mother's life. So the way I've thought about technology as a way of disrupting healthcare, and I worry about that word disrupt. I think more scale and build up a new health platform on the continent and in Africa. So the way I've thought about that is if you look at the if you look at the health expenditure per capita in Nigeria, it's $4 per person, right? So as the private, even people who are paying in private, the public system, if you combine how much we spend on healthcare, we spend $4. In the US, it's $10,000. In Germany, it's $4,500 per person. So if you see the disparity in terms of how much is available for healthcare, you know that we have to be smart and we have to be innovative in sort of leapfrogging that disparity and that difference in capital for healthcare. So that's what we do, and that's what LifeBank is about, to show that it is possible to build a supply chain, a smart supply chain platform, not just for blood. Blood happens to be the first thing we started with, but for vaccines, for organs, for oxygen, for essential medical products that hospitals need to deliver healthcare.
So you're not just, so you actually, logistics is very, very key. Logistics is very, very key because time is of the essence, and you need to give blood at a particular time. So how do you manage that? Especially, this is Nigeria. This is where, movement from A to B can be tricky and complex.
So once a mom is bleeding, or once anyone is bleeding, they have about 1 hour to leave. So our work is timely, and we have to get the product on time to the hospital and in the right condition. So technology also helps us do that. We know with technology, with mapping technology, we have partnership with Google Maps, we have partnership with What3 Words. It helps us sort of build know which route, what's the best route to get to the hospital. And using our bikes, we're able to sort of bypass traffic. So it's a combination of real technology, real infrastructure, meaning the bikes, but also soft infrastructure, knowing what's the best route to get to the hospital quickly and on time.
I mean, so far, I mean, what I've heard is that, you know, we keep talking about technology as if it's something that is really out of this world. I mean, everything that's been talked about here today, very practical, using off-the-shelf solutions that you can actually adapt to your business to create scale and cost effectiveness. Now, of course, you know, without food, there's no entertainment or education or, thank you. There's no food. And really, I do have a bad neck today. So without food, there's no Roku TV, because you can't, or education, or of course health. So last but not the least, on the first round of questions is Dr. Olusoya, who is the founder of BioCrops. So tell us a bit about BioCrops and how your methods are different from traditional methods and why it's essential.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And WIMBIZ, I say kudos. We have this idea at BioCrops that if there's a problem, then there's also a solution. You'll find out that in the whole world, a lot of innovative ideas started with the needs of the founders. Sometimes the founders had needs that needed to be met, and they looked for ways to solve their problems. The same thing happened to us at BioCrops, interestingly. About 30 years ago, or thereabout, we thought we wanted to plant 20 hectares of pineapples. Just 20 hectares of pineapples. Well, it's a lot of pineapples. 20 football fields, thereabout. We found out that we couldn't even find the planting materials. And no matter what we did, we couldn't find the planting materials. The option was to collect pineapple crowns and wait for 3 years, by which time the farm was history. Wasn't just going to happen. So that kept us thinking. Well, I mean, we read that in other countries things are happening, you know. And then fortunately for us, the two partners, we both happened to be in Malaysia to study in postgraduate school. Both of us got our doctorates in Malaysia, one in the sciences, and I was in management. And interestingly, in front of my house, where I lived, in a place called Relau, it was a center where I saw that some funny-looking plant materials were being grown. Well, I didn't really know much about it then. I didn't understand it, but we kept wanting to know. And that led us to ask questions here and there. And then we realized that there's something they call tissue culture that could allow you to actually clone plants. Gut its cell and clone the plant. So you could get exotic or elite materials, plant materials, and replicate them. So it's like it's called micropropagation. That's a science. And you could make millions of the same plants, replicas of the plants. So we found out that the plantations that we saw in Malaysia, where we could drive hundreds of kilometers and see nothing but pineapples, were aided with science. Now, that is the discovery we made there, that it was the difference between our own agriculture in Nigeria and agriculture elsewhere in the world. Science is involved, but science is not just about science. The science enables you to get results in what you want. Micropropagation is an opportunity to produce seedlings that will not normally easily germinate. Like, for instance, we talk about shea, the shea tree, you know, shea butter. They are very difficult to grow. naturally. But biotechnology gives us opportunity to actually, multiply them in the laboratory and then take them outside to grow. And it is completely natural. And if you are thinking they are modifying genes that, don't go there at all. It's not even close. We don't do that. We have not done that. That's a higher level science, actually. Let me tell you the truth. Because in my introduction, I always tell people we don't do GMO before they get the wrong ideas. It takes a lot. In monetary terms, it will cost you $20 million, about that. And the price has only come down. And only few institutions, probably IIT, Ibadan, they have the expertise, but I know they don't have the equipment, and they don't have the mandate to do it. So even though we are testing, GMOs in Nigeria today, they are imported. You understand that. So there's a business angle to science, and if some companies are making money on it, that's also, okay. But for us, what is important is for us to meet the needs of farmers in Nigeria. As it is now, farmers have issues with input in plantations.
So, Doctor, sorry to cut you short. So,
yes.
How successful have you been so far, so we can get round to the next round of questions?
Well, so far, we have been able to move from just an R&D company to now talking to investors. And serious investors are actually interested in what we are doing. We have been able to sell our products to some of the largest plantations in the country, and we're talking to more. So the application, and it's not even seedlings, just seedlings, So let me expand it a little bit. In the biotechnology field, things that we are involved in, we do a lot of microbiology work as well. So we do biofertilizers. Rather than use chemical fertilizers that cause leaching and damage the environment and have residues in your crops, we use bacteria. These are natural, even as pest control. Even for pest control. You've heard of tuta absoluta. Some people called us about 3 months ago about armyworms. Well, we've been working on our own brand of pesticide. We actually gave them to try. It's just bacteria, absolutely nothing. And, if you are familiar with the science, it is natural, biodegrades, and, it doesn't leave anything in your crops.
Thank you. So, a round of quick questions now. So, and I think I'll lead the way. I think in the financial segment in Nigeria, I think we can compete with the rest of the world. So, by using technology, I think we have one of the best banking payment systems that enables us to actually go down to areas where you would not, from a financial inclusion perspective. So, and for us, I think for us to be to scale, what we need is some better regulation and legislation to help us drive that. So in a minute, like I've done, could each of you tell us how you can be the best in the world in your area, and what would help bring that about? A minute, Jason.
I don't talk too long. I think, firstly, not regulation. So I'm a big fan of the government leaving us young entrepreneurs alone. If there's anyone in the government in this room, I apologize, but just leave me alone, and I'll find my way. So I think most Nigerian industries have been built in the absence of the government or in spite of the government. So I think that definitely isn't going to be a big part of the future. I think probably the biggest challenge is education. It's when I think about the challenges we have on Iwako TV, the number one thing is getting someone who has a smartphone to actually use it. The vast majority of people who have smartphones, they don't really know how to use it. It's for show, it's for, I've got a Samsung, I've got a Techno. They don't really know how to use it. So I think every business here must have an issue with sort of getting the educated populace to use technology. And just to sort of like jump from my business to somebody else's. Now, I struggle with getting people to figure out how to watch Nollywood on a mobile phone. you're trying to get blood from Nigerians into a system which can then distribute it to hospitals. We got to give her a big round of applause because that's hard work. But just to kind of, so my wife and I, we just had a baby. It wasn't an easy pregnancy, so there was a need for blood. So we definitely understand how important that is at that point in time. Now, if I woke up one day and said, my wife, I want to now start going to give blood. First of all, it's blood of Jesus. It's even for her to get comfortable. Now, I'm primarily from the UK, so for me, giving blood, they used to do that when we were like children, so it wasn't like a big thing. But like even just to educate people to feel comfortable, to kind of provide the life, sort of altering, life important materials for different businesses requires, it's education first before you go anywhere else. And I think whilst I'm trying to figure out how to get someone to use a smartphone properly, I think education is most definitely the biggest challenge that we have in this market. So if I was to do a quick show of hands, so who uses Snapchat? Just a quick hands up. Who uses Snapchat? I know this is a professional setting, so you don't have to lie, please. It's more people than that who use Snapchat.
Sorry, Jason's 1 minute is over. So.
It's over. No, but for example, like most people use the internet and communications and technology for entertainment. So if it's Bob Risky, Hush Puppy, all of that nonsense, then everyone's super excited. But if it's to change lives and to do like real hard things, people aren't doing that yet. That's the problem.
Gossi, what's your...
So I think education is one place where policy can't be taken away, and we can ask the government to leave us alone. But what I think can really change things for us is that we need to do a lot more research around the future of work, the future of learning, and what employers need. So I think that's still something that is missing a bit. There's still that disconnect between institutions and policy and what the industry really needs. Because at the end of the day, what's the reason why we go to school? Why do we go to school? So if we can start to build that connection between industry, policy, and institutions, then we can start to see proper change in the market.
Temi?
So I will start by telling a short story. So
1 minute short story.
Sorry. So when Ebola happened in Nigeria a few years ago, one of the insights that I had after it ended was the man that brought Ebola to Nigeria was searching for healthcare. So Liberia's, civil war and its the Ebola crisis wiped out all the gains they've made in their GDP and gains they've made in the country as a whole. So the healthcare sector in Liberia was completely destroyed. So he came to the place he knew he could get healthcare, and that was Nigeria. So that has a negative it's a negative story, but it also has a positive side. Nigeria has an opportunity to create the healthcare system for the African people, not just for the Nigerian people. Because people are already coming, they're already seeking healthcare. But to do that, we have to lean into the disruption. And I'm saying that because a lot of people in my sector don't like technology, they're not comfortable with it. Healthcare is always, even in the US, in Europe, healthcare is the last place that technology goes, right? So a lot of people are not comfortable with it, but the work we need to do in my sector is to build a new way of doing things and to sort of leapfrog the amount of capital that would need to build a health system for the African people. So we have to lean into disruptions. We have to lean into companies like LifeBank that makes it easy for you to get all the essential medical products that you need. There are companies that are doing things around electronic medical records. There's so many, technology companies in healthcare that I think would allow Nigeria to be the place where the African people can come to get healthcare.
Doctor, they've told me to beg you to just keep it for 1 minute so that we can have questions and answers.
Well, I'd like to add that the kind of technology that we do as it is that aids agriculture is just to open up the possibilities and ensure that the value chain is completed here in Nigeria. We all know that there's input, there's a farming itself, and there's a processing. Everything starts with seeds. The people we are grooming in our own kind of business actually our preferred people to hire are women. Because if you look at it, finger dexterity, I'm a psychologist, I'm not a scientist, so I should have told you that, to start with. But women, the female folk are better with their fingers. They are better with analysis. They are better with quality control. And that's a fact. I'm not telling you because you are WIMBIZ, that's a fact. So we bring them into air-conditioned environment. So they're actually farming in a laboratory. So what we have is a biofactory. We take that and we supply inputs to farmers. So these are no more, we don't need to import this anymore. If you talk to the real large plantations in Nigeria, a lot of the inputs are imported. Now, that's disruption by itself. So that's how we got into it.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to thank my panel for being very interactive. I think there's a lot to talk. I'm sure, I think they all have more we can be here for the next 1 hour talking about our respective businesses. But I think it's time to give the audience an opportunity to ask questions. And so, how do we do that? Mike, so there are mics. And I get to choose who answers.
So we'll take 3 questions.
Good afternoon. My question's for Temi. Have you considered using drones to deliver your blood products? Thank you. Oh, and I have a question for Dr. Joseph as well. Micropropagation, can you give us an example of the different types of crops that you have the technology to do micropropagation on? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ebume Shayete. I have 2 questions. The first is for Pascal. I apologize. Mr. Dozier. Okay, so let me make it quick. Though there's technology. So let me make it quick. I want to find out what strides the public sector or the emerging technological sector in Nigeria can do to support traditional companies and governments in the education of Nigerians. Young Nigerians who are aspiring into STEM roles, becoming scientists, technologists, engineers, mathematicians, trying to, or those who are already in established roles, trying to switch into becoming coders or whatever it is. And how do we mainstream whatever is already happening? Because this seems like the new frontier for Nigeria. Our technological advancement has to start now. We no longer have the luxury of waiting a generation. How do we do that? Then the second is in general for the panel. So technology is one source of disruption, but there are other sources of disruption. There's political upheaval. There's economic upheaval that is also disrupting the way things have happened. How do we remain resilient in our determination to continue to innovate despite these challenges? Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Tolu Oni, and I'm from Health Plus Limited. My question is to Temi. I commend you for what you do. Just last week, I lost a cousin to postpartum hemorrhage. And this is why I think, beyond this, yes, you've done well. We know the business will scale. We know technology will continue to help you. And we really hope that the regulations in this country will get there in the by and by. But most times, it was just currently that I had access to HMO, and it's fantastic. Whether you have money on you or you don't have money on you, you are covered, your children are covered, your husband is covered. But look at the common market woman. They do not have access to these things. They are so basic. Insurance can do a lot of things for you. And I'm asking, I know it's not the responsibility of one individual, but now that we know technology can do a lot of things for us. I'm a layman, I think of it every day. I could just send a 20 naira text message every day as a market woman, and at the end of the month, I have free access to basic care. They die from malaria, they die from a whole lot of things. We see them in the market and we say, God takes care of them. It's a lie. We just do not see the numbers that die. We are just fortunate not to have died. So to you, Temi, and to everybody who has the experience of technology, how can we push our government to do the basic? Healthcare is basic. Everybody may not get educated. They will sell pepper and have money to eat. But how can we help the government to use technology to get healthcare to every Nigerian? It is a basic thing everyone needs. That's my question, and that's my challenge to the panel.
All right, thank you for the first three questions. We just answer them quickly. So tell me, the first one was on the drone. I think the second and third question were similar. How do we work with governments and different institutions to really propagate technology to drive our economy? Jason, sorry.
Drones. So our biggest competitor is a company that uses drones to deliver blood in Rwanda and Tanzania. They've raised about $23 million, and I've raised about $100,000. So you can see the difference in the amount of capital we have. Yeah. While drones, I think, are very useful for last mile delivery, right? Last mile delivery is the very last village that you can think of. And those people need blood, those people need vaccines. So drone is certainly important, but it's a capital intensive investment. And one of my most important responsibility at work is to figure out how to sort of leapfrog that capital constraint, right? So I think drones are very important. It's the future, especially the future of last mile delivery, and we're definitely looking into it.
Jason? Jason, 1 minute.
I'll try and keep it 1 minute. So I'm sure you're aware that last year the government tried to start regulating drones. You see, you had to have a register, pay millions of naira, go through formal processes. This is what happens when you start regulating stuff. So you're asking me about how do you work with the government? You don't. I genuinely cannot overemphasize that any time a bureaucrat sits down and tries to provide a solution to something, they genuinely usually end up messing that thing up. So drones, hold on. So drones revolutionized your ability to shoot Nollywood films. Have you seen every Nollywood film now has the Lekki Ikoyi bridge in it? Drones. So you can imagine when that law came in, like the police officers obviously got super excited, and now every time you have a drone in the air, the police are sort of on ground to start taking it off you and causing all kinds of problems. So I'm just going to reiterate, really. You know, we can't have drone delivery the same way as we have it in Rwanda because the government no longer supports it. It's not just a capital thing. If they gave you $10 million, you now have to spend half of that lobbying the government to allow you to even deliver it. So I genuinely don't understand how the government's really going to help us. So, and one final thing to say, like the UK is basically a socialist government. So I genuinely struggle to see Nigerians truly believe that the government is a solution to most of our problems. They are the problem. So they're not going to solve anything.
Okay.
That was good.
So that's one interesting view.
Could I just add to that?
No. Let me ask.
Yeah, okay.
Quickly, your own.
Yes, the lady wanted to know the crops that we have actually worked on with micropropagation. Let me let you understand that you can do you can do micro-propagation with any crop, any plant, because it's just a simple, same process as it grows. Any plant that has life, you can propagate it, micro-propagate it. However, it is expensive. So we choose the ones that really need to be micro-propagated. Like, for instance, you want to plant rice. They come in small grains, and in a sack of rice, you could have, what? A lot of millions in there. So I would not want to do rice that way, to plant rice plantation that way. However, if I want to plant like some elite cashew, we sold some jumbo cashew, new in the market, but, you know, we worked on it, and we sold it. We sold probably 40,000, 50,000 first year in the market. So, I mean, Nigeria is opening, and farmers are getting more educated. They are smart. They know what they want. You know, I understand the big corporations, they go outside to get what they want, but even Nigerian farmers are asking. They come to tell us things like, couldn't you do this? Couldn't you do this for us? And, you know, we look at the cost of doing the R&D. Yeah, we could do it. Yes, we do it. So basically, the answer is yes, we can do almost anything.
Okay, our time is up, but I think we have two questions who have standing, so we'll take their questions quickly. I know I have questions to answer. I'll answer that after their questions. So quickly, the two questions, and then.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fola Kafideoke. So I'm a bit of a devil's advocate on this one. For Mr. Njoku, I don't know that I agree with you about the regulation point. So technology is great, but what we find is that there's a bit of resistance to technology because there's no self-regulation. There isn't really a lot of regulation around technology. There's no responsibility on technology users, not users actually, technology deployers on the technology they deploy. And you get data, you get personal information, you get all sorts of stuff, but there's no regulation on what you do with that and how you use it. So you sign up to a bank for accounting information, and you get an SMS about buying tires or buying houses. I didn't give you my information for that. So that in itself destroys the process for anyone else trying to deploy technology, because everyone is sort of jaded by the use of the information you use the technology for. There's got to be responsibility on deployers with the information they get through their technology. My other point would be for, the gentleman on education. So I'm in the sort of space that you are in. I'm thinking a lot of people, business owners, I do governance and compliance. They need education. And so we use technology to try and reach out to them. We do webinars, we do masterclasses online. But people want to be drawn to a hotel room for 150,000 naira a year to sit down and learn nothing. They won't sign up to an online masterclass. That means you don't have to spend 6 hours out of your office. You don't have to spend 1/5 of what you're spending, but you get content. We're not in the space where people really want to use technology to better their lives. They really want to watch Nollywood, probably, actually. But.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My question is to Temi. I just wanted to know if you've gotten requests to supply your products outside the city where you reside. How did you respond to that? Considering the fact that you need to save someone's life within 1 hour. And if no, how do you intend to tackle that?
Okay, all right. Right, we get requests from all over the country because the problem is all over the country. Unfortunately, because it's also not just technology, but it's logistics, like a real thing, and we're currently just in Lagos, we are unable to, fulfill those requests. But when that happens, we have a blood donor application as well that I hope everyone who's heard the story about people losing their loved ones will go sign up for livebank.ng and become a blood donor. We have blood donors, and when those situations happens, we send a blood donor directly to the hospital to go give blood and save that person's life.
So we have come to our end of our session. I just want to quickly say Nigeria is one of the biggest markets in the world. We have a lot of gaps in products and service delivery. And it means that, so if you look at countries like America, where some of the richest companies are in America serving Americans, we have a great opportunity here in Nigeria to do the same. And we do not have to copy what others have done. We can actually leapfrog. And the technology enables us to reach to scale in a very cost-effective manner and also provide a better experience for customers. So I'd like to thank my panelists for answering questions and for listening to us. Thank you very much.
So we have a few items that were lost and have been found. If you've lost a phone, please come up to the desk to my left, the compares desk, and let's know the model and the color so we can be sure it's yours. I also understand that someone lost a pair of shoes. I don't know how that was possible, but apparently there's a brand new pair of shoes that was misplaced. So again, please come up to us at the desk to my left and we'll find a way to get it across to you. And so we move now onto the Female Achievers Award. Every year, WIMBIZ gives awards out to women who have made strides in particular industries. This year, we have a very interesting lineup and a very interesting section as well of the economy that these awards will be going to. So I call up Mrs. Funke Ladimeji, the COO of FBN Quest Merchant Bank, to anchor this section of the awards. Please give her a warm WIMBIZ welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, so I am quite honored to be anchoring this section of this WIMBIZ event. And here we're focusing on celebrating 3 women in the Female Achievers Award for 2017. Now, the WIMBIZ Female Achievers Award was created to recognize trailblazers, trailblazing women who have made an impact in their own particular spaces of operation. And this year, the award spotlight is focused on the health sector. And as we all know, health is indeed wealth. And so today we are celebrating these 3 women who have contributed to the growth and the sustainability of this very important sector to us as individuals, to us as women, and to our economy, Nigeria. And so I will now invite, for the first award, I will invite Mrs. Bola Adeshola, who is a member of the WIMBIZ Board of Trustees, to present the first award.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The first award goes to Dr. Zainab Bagudu, the First Lady of Kebbi State and founder of Medicaid. Unfortunately, the First Lady of Kebbi State is unable to be here today, but she is represented by Dr. Suraya Mansour, who is the Chief Operating Officer, Medicaid Cancer Foundation. Dr. Mansour. Permit me to read the bio of Dr. Zainab Bagudu. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu is a mother, wife, pediatric consultant, child's rights advocate, and ardent anti-cancer campaigner. Dr. Shinkafi Bagudu attended Queen's College, Lagos. I knew that would happen from the girls of the other school in Lagos. Dr. Bagudu also obtained a Bachelor of Medicine from the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, followed by a specialist training in pediatrics and neonatology in the United Kingdom. Amongst other academic qualifications, she obtained a master's in pediatrics, a diploma in tropical child health, and membership of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. Upon her return to Nigeria, she took up an appointment with the Garki Hospital, Abuja, as the first pediatric consultant. She founded the Medicaid Radiodiagnostic Center in Abuja. Medicaid was set up to rectify the paucity of scarce diagnostic tools in the region, and the center provides MRI, CT scan, endoscopy, mammogram, echocardiology, digital fluoroscopy, and so on. As the First Lady of Kebbi State, she has sponsored various health programs which include immunization, distribution of birth kits, very important, and sickle cell-related illnesses. Dr. Bagudu has become a loud voice in the fight against cancer in Nigeria, particularly breast and cervical cancers, and serves as a role model for women, particularly in the northern parts of the country. She's also a contributor on health for several national dailies on subjects such as early marriage, cancer awareness, kidney ailments, and so on. Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu has been recognized as being instrumental in the fight against cancer and providing support to cancer patients in Nigeria. It is my honor and pleasure to present to Dr. Mansour for Dr. Bagudu this award. It's the Award of Female Achiever Award presented to Dr. Zainab Bagudu in recognition of her contribution towards the health sector in Nigeria. Dr. Zainab Bagudu, we appreciate you. Please extend our congratulations, there you go, our congratulations to Dr. Bagudu, and tell her that we appreciate her very much. Thank you. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is such an honor to be here amidst such great personalities. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Medicaid Cancer Foundation, and I'm here representing Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu, the First Lady of Kebbi State, the founder of Medicaid Cancer Foundation, and the Managing Director of Medicaid Radiodiagnostics. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today with you all due to prior engagements, but she sends her best wishes and prayers. I also have with me her speech, which I will read to you all. And it goes like this. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our profound thanks to Almighty Allah for showing us this day and for showering His blessings on us all. It is an honor to have been recognized and found worthy to be a recipient of the WIMBIZ Female Achievers Award in the category of the outstanding contributions in the health sector. This is indeed honorable, and I accept this award with the high regards. Having a career in the health sector is challenging, especially in the present economy. WIMBIZ is doing an excellent job in ensuring that women are being heard and significant contributions made towards the building of the nation. Being a female pediatric consultant was what initiated the birth of my foundation. As often at times, parents bring their wards to me for consultations, and in the process, they take time to discuss their own female health-related problems. To them, I'm just a female doctor whom they found comfortable discussing their problems with. This brought about the Foundation on Cancer. Medicaid Cancer Foundation exists to build bridges for cancer patients, in particular the indigent ones. We work, support, and fund cancer patients from diagnosis to treatment. I urge all Nigerians in our individual lives to work collectively so that we can achieve more unity and thus success as a nation. I craved for continued support from all because cancer is an alarming epidemic in our country, Nigeria, today. Our health system, which is quite resource constrained, simply cannot cope on its own. We have to partner and work as a team to build the bridge and the funding gap. Our message is simple. Get regular screenings because early detection is the only way we will improve on the current statistics. Early detection is the key to survival. So on this note, my last message to all my sisters here, please, when you take off your Spanx tonight, check your breasts, do it once every month, teach your daughters and children and sisters to always do the same. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I'm now going to invite Mrs. Ifeanyi Igudalu, who is also a member of the WIMBIZ Board of Trustees, to present the next award to the WIMBIZ Female Achiever.
Good afternoon, my sisters, my Ebons and my Aburos, and welcome to the 2017 WIMBIZ. Ife Yiwa, not Ife, Ife Yiwa. The award for the next award for the female achievers, the next Female Achievers Award is being given to Professor Abba Omotunde Sego. Professor Abba, can you all hear me at the back? Okay. Professor Abba Omotunde Sego is a renowned consultant in hematology and blood transfusion and is a director on the board of the Institute of Human Virology, Nigeria, IAG. She was a former secretary to the Lagos State government and former project coordinator of the HIV treatment and Care Program in Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, which has over 8,000 patients enrolled into care, with over 5,000 of them on ART. With an invaluable wealth of experience and having worked in several administrative, university, and government capacities for 45 years, she has served as a consultant to world organizations such as WHO and UNESCO. She schooled in the United Kingdom and Nigeria and has a PhD in hematology from the prestigious University of Ibadan. Professor Sego has many publications to her credit. She participates as a member and has held leadership positions in professional bodies, including International Society of Blood Transfusion, International Medical Women's Association, and Nigerian Society of Hematology and Blood Transfusion. She was instrumental in the completion of the National Blood Transfusion Policy for Nigeria, as well as the draft legislation for the National Blood Program. She is Omolafi of Lagos and the Yoloye of Oderemu. I didn't get that pronunciation from Mrs. Z. She was coaching me. Oderemu. Oderemu. Ogun State. Professor Abba Omotunde Sego was instrumental in the completion of the National Blood Transfusion Policy for Nigeria. She's been honored for her contribution to building sustainable blood services and systems in Nigeria. So it is my great honor and privilege to hand this award to Professor Abba Omotunde Sego. This award is in recognition of your contribution towards the health sector in Nigeria from WIMBIZ Female Achiever Award.
It is my great pleasure to be here this afternoon. I was really overwhelmed when I came into this hall and see this number of women in business and public health who have achieved so much. It is the next generation and the next generation after that. And you are going to make Nigeria by God's grace. I thank you very much for the award you've given me, and it's beautiful coming here and seeing all of you. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the final award of the Female Achievers for 2017. And I am going to call up, I'll invite Dr. Mobola Johnson to come and do the honors for giving the next award.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The third and final award for this afternoon goes to Dr. Stella Chinyelu Okoli. Thank you, Ed. Dr. Okoli is a pharmacist and an entrepreneur. She's founder and CEO of Emzo Pharmaceutical, a pharmaceutical, yes, I thought you'd recognize that. This is the Amazon behind Emzo. She founded Emzo 33 years ago, and today it has operations in Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. She was born in Kano in 1944 to the family of Chief Felix Ebelechukwu, she doesn't look it, by the way, and Princess Margaret Modebelu of Anambra State. She had her primary and secondary school education in Nigeria. She proceeded to the UK for her tertiary education, obtaining a bachelor's degree in pharmacy from the University of Bradford and a Master of Science in Biopharmaceutics from Chelsea College, University of London. And I would say up school because I also went to Chelsea College. Her experience in the pharmaceutical field is well consolidated. She worked at Middlesex Hospital as a ward/clinical pharmacist, as a pharmacist at Boots Chemist in London, at Massey Children's Hospital, Lagos, before she joined Park Davis, Nigeria, now Pharmadeco, as a medical representative and later as a sales manager. In 1981, she answered the entrepreneurial call through the drug importation business, by importing both ethical and over-the-counter drugs to meet the health needs of Nigerians for quality drugs. And in 1984, she incorporated Emzo Pharmaceutical Industries, a leading producer of a wide range of drugs with over 70 lines of products. Dr. Okoli has served as the chairman of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. She's an active member of many local and international professional organizations, such as the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, the British Chamber of Commerce, the Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association, as well as Nigeria-South Africa Chamber of Commerce. She received the Bullion Award for her outstanding contribution to industry and manufacturing, and today she's been recognized for her invaluable contributions towards the health sector in Nigeria. Dr. Mrs. Stella Okoli.
Is it falling? Is it me? Okay. The chairperson of WIMBIZ, the executive members of WIMBIZ, past and present. Let me just say how amazing it is to be here with all of you and to see the hall is filled up and to see that most of us here are women and to see that our future is bright. The future of Nigeria is bright because we are not going to wait for men to do it for us. you can see what is happening in our country, what we know we can do. And I want to tell you all and challenge every one of you, we will not stop until we produce a Nigerian female president. What you are doing here is amazing. You are mentoring and you're teaching, and the young ones are growing and learning and following your footsteps. That is what is very important. In terms of pharmaceutical industries, I tell you one thing, women are the bedrock. They are the bedrock not because they're one we chose women to be. They proved themselves. They were the best. They were more attentive, they were willing to learn, they were taught, and they became masters in their field. Today, I have the executive director of EMZO Pharmaceutical Industry Limited, which is, where is she? Okay, come up. Come up. we command. And I have my niece who came all the way from America, Atlanta, when she heard about the beautiful work that you're doing. She said she wants to be part of it. I said, it's all inclusive. Come up, Ekene. It is important that I think you did a session about passing the button, I think a few years ago. It's important to announce to the whole world, starting from our lovely country, Nigeria, that the future is here. So if you do not know it, we are broadcasting it everywhere. Future is here for you to grab. What are you waiting for? Who is holding you? What is holding you? When you have a wonderful God that says that nothing shall be impossible. So I like Uzoma. Uzoma is okay, it's executive director of EMZO Pharmaceutical Industries. The only fear I have about her, she works harder than me. I'm supposed to be a workaholic, but is it a good or bad thing? So, Uzoma, say hello to them.
My sisters, fellow holders of the baton, I should be more nervous, except this sounds just like a management meeting at EMZO. This is how she is all the time. So we just stay ready. I would just like to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of everyone who is at the stage of receiving awards like you, or in waiting, even if you don't understand the vehicle, you don't even know what race, 100 meters, hurdles, 400 marathon, wait. Someone will call you up.
Yes, yes.
So it's been an honor. And that thing about working longer or harder, well, if we stayed till 11, we would see who was more tired, and that would tell.
Yes, we think it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Ekene is true. Ekene flew in from Atlanta.
Okay.
And can you say something to them?
So when you have an auntie like this, you have to stay ready, because you don't have time to get ready. She insisted that we do this, but I really wanted to say that having an aunt like this, and my mother and all our sisters, her sisters are all strong women, it teaches us and has taught us all. What she's doing right now is modeling. So she's not just taking it for herself, but she's insisting that we rise with her. And it's necessary that we do that. Yeah. And so what I do right now, I teach women about leadership. I teach women about confidence. I teach women about taking their space and standing up in their power. And that's because of her, right? So you celebrate yourself, you own yourself. And so I just have to say thank you. And thank you to WIMBIZ. This has been phenomenal. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, I want to say as well, I want to say a big thank you for this honor. I want to thank you very much, especially coming from my minister.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Congratulations again to our recipients. And please, can we give a round of applause to Mrs. Oladimeji for anchoring that section excellently.
So there's one person that we're going to recognize. So if you were here earlier on in the morning, we had Lori talk about women having it all, but with the support of a partner. We also heard the all-male panel talk about whether women could have it all or not. And I think the parting comment was, yes, we can, but only if we have the right support systems. And so we would like to recognize one of the biggest, there's too many supporters, but this particular gentleman has been so supportive, particularly supportive of our chair, Aisha Ahmad, and we'd like to recognize, he's so shy, General Ahmad. The video? A video, yes. Hey. I forgot again.
Thank you very much, sir, for being so supportive.
Please come up, sir. We would like a photo op.
We celebrate the men that support the women.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, and for being an example. The evening is coming. We're winding down slowly, but right now, before we go for our breakout sessions, which you must all attend, we have 3 sessions: the opportunity risk return session, the healthcare session, which is about changing mindsets and transforming lives, and the confronting violence session, stand up, speak out, and act. But just before we go into the breakout sessions, we have a very interesting video to show you about some women who are using their creativity to affect the environment and still do something different with what they have. So if the video is ready, please, let's play the video.
My name is Ademola.
My name is Tokile Isasai. I'm the founder and director of Artex Lagos.
Started about 7 years ago
Artex Lagos is the first international contemporary art fair
just really with
in
a
West Africa.
passion and a mission to
We are
trigger
the
the new
first outside
appreciation
South
for
Africa
arts
in
here in
sub-Saharan
Nigeria.
Africa. And we're very excited
Since then,
to
I
hold this
now
privileged
run 2
position.
gallery spaces,
What we do
and I
is that once a
curated
year we
Nigeria's
bring
first ever
together
showing at the
several
Olympics
dozen of
2000,
Africa's most
which is
innovative and
Biennale.
most talented
One thing I've
artists.
learned throughout my
This
journey
year
is
at the
to
Civic
start
Center,
small
well,
between
and
November
also
3rd
to
to
be patient.
5th, we brought over 65 artists from 15 countries around
You are the
Africa
future.
to
The
one
future is
destination
here.
here in Lagos. Our artists came from Zimbabwe,
My name
from
is
Mali,
Adeniran
from
Shonaro. I am
Senegal,
an art
from
curator
Ivory
and a
Coast, from
gallerist based here
Cameroon,
in
South
Lagos.
Africa,
Started
Ghana.
about
You
7
name a
years
country
ago
you can
doing
think of, we
pop-up
probably
art
had an
exhibitions
artist
and selling art
represented.
from the booth of my car.
Now, I'm
Just
very
really with
excited
a
and
passion and
inspired
mission
by
to trigger
what
a
we
new
have been able to
appreciation
achieve
for
in the
arts here in
contemporary art
Nigeria.
sector.
Since
I
then,
created
I now
Artex
run
Lagos
2
to be a
gallery
platform
spaces
that would
and I
increase
curated
visibility
Nigeria's first ever
for
showing at the
African and
Olympics of
Nigerian
the Arts,
artists.
which is the
I wanted
WIMBIZ
to
Annual.
build a world-class
One thing I've learned
global
throughout my journey
platform
is
that
to
will bring
start
the world
small
right here
and
to our
also to be
shores to
patient.
see what our artists
My
are
name is
capable of doing.
Aderele. I am the
And
future.
now tying that
You
into
are the
WIMBIZ,
future.
the future is here. Just last weekend at Artex Lagos, we had international visitors, Nigerians, Pan-African visitors, exploring the works of the continent's most exciting artists. The future for me is a future in which the world comes to us, the world comes to Africa, instead of Africa consistently having to go to the world as our artists have had to do.
Since then, I now
At
run
Artex
2 gallery
Lagos,
spaces
between the 3rd
and
and
I
5th of
curated
November, I saw
Nigeria's
the
first ever
future
showing
right
at
here
the
and now.
Olympics of the Arts.
I'm very excited to be a part of this, and would
One
like
thing
to
I've learned throughout my
congratulate
journey
WIMBIZ on
is
this
to
phenomenal
start small
initiative.
and
I
also
am
to
the
be
future,
patient.
you are the future.
My name is
the future is
Aderele.
here.
I am the future. You are the future. The future is here.
My name is Tokini Peterside. I'm the founder and
My name is
director
Aderele
of Artex
Shonaro. I am an
Lagos.
art curator
Artex
and gallerist
Lagos is
based
the
here in
first
Lagos.
international
Started about 7
contemporary
years
art
ago
fair
doing pop-up
in
art
West Africa.
exhibitions and selling art from the booth
We are
of
the
my car.
first outside
Just really
South
with
Africa in
a
sub-Saharan
passion and a
Africa.
mission
We're
to
very
trigger a new
excited to hold this
appreciation for
privileged
arts
position.
here in Nigeria.
What we do is that
Since
once a
then,
year
I
we bring
now
together
run 2 gallery
several
spaces
dozen of
and I
Africa's most
curated Nigeria's
innovative and
first
most
ever
talented
showing at
artists.
the Olympics
This
of
year
Arts,
at
which
the
is
Civic
the
Center between November 3rd
One thing
to
I've learned
5th,
throughout my
we
journey
brought over
is to start
65
small
artists from
and also
15
to be
countries
patient.
around Africa
My name is
to one
Aderele.
destination here in
I am the
Lagos.
future.
Our
You are
artists
the
came
future.
from
The future
Zimbabwe,
is
from
here.
Mali, from Senegal, from Ivory Coast, from Cameroon,
My name is
South
Aderele.
Africa.
Your evaluation forms, please, and hand them back in to the staff. Thank you.
You name a country you can think of, we probably had an artist represented. Now, I'm very excited and inspired by what we have been able to achieve in the
take your
contemporary
belongings
art
with
sector.
you. Please
I
don't leave
created
your
Artex
belongings
Lagos
unattended
to be a
to your
platform
purses,
that
your
would
phones,
increase visibility for
all gadgets,
African
please.
and Nigerian artists.
Thank you very
I wanted
much.
to build a world-class global platform that would bring the world right here to our shores to see what our artists are capable of doing. And now tying that into WIMBIZ, the future is here. Just last weekend at Artex Lagos, we had international visitors, Nigerians, Pan-African visitors, exploring the works of the continent's most exciting artists. The future for me is a future in which the world comes to us, the world comes to Africa, instead of Africa consistently having to go to the world, as our artists have had to do. At Artex Lagos, between the 3rd and 5th of November, I saw the future right here and now. I'm very excited to be a part of this and would like to congratulate WIMBIZ on this phenomenal initiative. I am the future, you are the future is here. My name is Tokini Peterside. I'm the founder and director.
My name is Funke Bokno Ubute. I'm the MD CEO of Zafira Events, an event planning, management and consulting company that plans weddings, social events and corporate events. For me, the future is so much more. There's so many things I'm looking at into the future. From technology, to networking, to connections, to leveraging on relationships and opportunities. That is one thing that I'm looking forward to at the conference, and I want to actually take advantage of at this year's conference. The future is here, the theme of this year's conference for the WIMBIZ Annual Conference. I am the future, you are the future, and the future is here.
In reclaiming the lost glory of manufacturing in Nigeria. But this is what I'm going to say. If you're here and you have a flair for anything manufacturing, production, go for it. Don't let the limitations of, power or skilled labor put you off. The people in Ghana don't have it perfect. The factories in Calabar don't have it perfect either. However, African fashion is rising. Manufacturing has to rise as well. Whether it's in the western, parts of Africa or in Eastern Africa, it has to rise to meet the demand, because there is a demand. Okay, so I'm sure at the conference we're going to be looking at different ways in ensuring that we reclaim this lost glory in manufacturing, whether it's apparel, whether it's other kinds of sectors. This and much more will be discussed at the conference. My name is Olori Ajayi. I'm a WIMBIZ associate. I am the future. You are the future. The future is here. Hello, my name